King Saul, Israel's first king. In the land of Israel, many generations after the time of the judges, the people cried out for a king to rule over them. They wanted to be like the other nations, with a monarch to lead them in battle and govern their affairs. This request troubled Samuel, the prophet and last judge of Israel, for he knew that God was their true king. Nevertheless, God listened to the voice of the people and instructed Samuel to anoint a king for them. But the people refused to listen to Samuel. "No," they said, "we want a king over us. Then we will be like all the other nations, with a king to lead us and to go out before us and fight our battles." 1 Samuel chapter 8, verses 19 to 20. God led Samuel to a man named Saul, the son of Kish, a wealthy Benjaminite. Saul was tall and handsome, standing head and shoulders above anyone else in Israel. But despite his outward appearance, Saul was humble and unassuming. When Samuel first approached him, Saul could hardly believe that such an honor could be bestowed upon him. There was not a man among the people of Israel more handsome than he. He stood head and shoulders above everyone else. 1 Samuel chapter 9, verse 2. One day, Saul was out searching for his father's lost donkeys when he and his servant decided to seek the counsel of Samuel, known as a man of God. As they approached the city where Samuel lived, God spoke to the prophet and revealed that Saul was the one chosen to be king over Israel. Now the day before Saul came, the Lord had revealed this to Samuel. "About this time tomorrow I will send you a man from the land of Benjamin. Anoint him ruler over my people Israel. He will deliver them from the hand of the Philistines. I have looked on my people, for their cry has reached me." 1 Samuel chapter 9, verses 15 to 16. When Saul met Samuel, the prophet invited him to a feast and treated him with great honor. The next morning, Samuel took Saul aside and anointed his head with oil, declaring, "Has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance?" From that moment on, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Saul mightily, transforming him into a new man. Shortly after Saul's anointing, Samuel called all the tribes of Israel to gather at Mizpah. There, he cast lots to determine who would be chosen as king, and the lot fell on Saul. But when they searched for him, Saul was nowhere to be found. He had hidden himself among the baggage, too overwhelmed by the weight of his new responsibility. Yet when he was brought forth, the people saw his stature and beauty, and they shouted, "Long live the king!"
Breaking news.
Saul began his reign by leading Israel to victory over the Ammonites, who had besieged the city of Jabesh-Gilead. Filled with the Spirit of God, Saul mustered an army and struck the Ammonites with great force, delivering the people of Jabesh-Gilead from their enemies. This victory solidified Saul's position as king, and the people gathered at Gilgal to reaffirm his kingship, offering sacrifices and rejoicing before the Lord. Though Saul started his reign with humility and zeal, his heart gradually turned away from God. He grew impatient and disobedient, especially when he faced the Philistines, who had gathered to wage war against Israel. In his fear and anxiety, Saul offered a burnt sacrifice to the Lord without waiting for Samuel, a direct violation of God's command. When Samuel arrived and saw what Saul had done, he rebuked him sharply, saying, "You have acted foolishly. You have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. If you had, he would have established your kingdom over Israel for all time. But now your kingdom will not endure." Despite this warning, Saul's disobedience continued. God commanded him to completely destroy the Amalekites, a people who had long opposed Israel. Saul led the army in a decisive victory, but he spared the Amalekite king, Agag, and kept the best of the livestock for himself, claiming he intended to offer them as sacrifices to God. When Samuel confronted him, Saul tried to justify his actions, but the prophet responded with a stern declaration. "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king." But Samuel replied, "Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance like the evil of idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of the Lord, he has rejected you as king. 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 22 to 23. Samuel's words struck Saul to the core, and though he pleaded for forgiveness, God had already decided to raise up another to take Saul's place. Samuel grieved over Saul, but God sent him to anoint a new king, a shepherd boy named David from the town of Bethlehem. Saul's later years were marked by turmoil and despair. As the Spirit of the Lord departed from him, Saul was tormented by an evil spirit. He became increasingly paranoid and jealous, especially when David rose to prominence after defeating the Philistine giant, Goliath. Saul's jealousy consumed him, and he sought to kill David, fearing that the young man would take his throne. Saul was very angry. This refrain displeased him greatly. They have credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a close eye on David. 1 Samuel chapter 18, verse 8 to 9. In the end, Saul's reign came to a tragic conclusion. In a fierce battle against the Philistines on Mount Gilboa, Saul's sons were slain, and he himself was wounded by enemy archers. Rather than be captured and humiliated, Saul took his own sword and fell upon it, ending his life. The fighting grew fierce around Saul, and when the archers overtook him, they wounded him critically. Saul said to his armor-bearer, "Draw your sword and run me through, or these uncircumcised fellows will come and run me through and abuse me." But his armor-bearer was terrified and would not do it, so Saul took his own sword and fell on it. 1 Samuel chapter 31, verse 3 to 4. Thus, Saul, the first king of Israel, passed from the stage of history, a man who had once been chosen by God, but who ultimately fell because of his disobedience and pride. His story serves as a solemn reminder of the importance of obedience to God and the dangers of letting power and fear lead one away from the path of righteousness. Today, we reflect on Saul's story, not just as a tale of ancient history, but as a timeless reminder for each of us. No matter our position or the challenges we face, our true strength lies in our obedience to God and our trust in His plans. Let us learn from Saul's life, striving to live with humility, integrity, and unwavering faith. Thank you for watching. If you found this story insightful, be sure to like this video, share it with others, and subscribe for more stories and lessons from the Bible. And as always, remember to stay rooted in faith and let the lessons of the past guide your journey forward. Until next time, may God's wisdom guide you in all that you do. Peace be with you.